Okay, so this is Neverwinters Nights Enhanced Edition. This is just a game with an amazing map editor, and they've enhanced the graphics so that they're not too bad. It's basically a D&D thing with lots of sound effects. Also, it zoomed in, doesn't do it any favours, but you can zoom out quite a bit on it. They really haven't done a great job selling it in the graphics department here. You really got to experience it. I might actually fire it up for people to see how amazing it can be. This is the full thing. Well, especially there's a place called Airlift. I don't know if it's still running, but it's just amazing. Just 15 years of. It's basically playing Dungeons and Dragons where you can bring people in, and the only problem is that a lot of people find it very clunky. It's very unforgiving. Maybe I'm being blinded with nostalgia goggles, but I really like this game, and especially the map editor.
You are a welcome sight as always.
Find these ancient words before Malcolm does. If you do not, then I fear any victory by the Lord's alliance will prove meaningless.
The music's amazing, the sounds are amazing, the graphics are, although they've been updated, they're still very limited. Normally you zoom it out a bit more, so it's more kind of like a isometric look over the top, some kind of thing. They've cropped it in for some reason. I think maybe it doesn't look quite so amazing visually, but with the sounds of footsteps and the ambient sounds of each of the tile sets is incredible. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. What's the price of it at the moment? Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth about £5 as just a play around. And really, the key to it is the multiplayer section and getting onto a really good server, third-party server, because the one-player game is always a little bit kind of soulless and kind of tiresome and boring. But when you're dealing with 30-odd, 60-odd other players as well in this place, it really does have some amazing aspects to it. So it's an absolute gem of a game, and it's all about Dungeons and Dragons and dungeons, and just brilliant. Especially Airlift. I mean, they are not nice. It's not very kind. Well, some of them are, but a lot of them are very ruthless in their RP, their quest to be the RP king. So it can be a very lonely experience being kind of shunned by all these pros as you noob around in Skull, and go to Skull as well. That's important. Don't go anywhere else. Possibly go to the pirate place, because they seem a bit more of a friendly bunch. Go to the pirate place and then Skull might be a really good idea actually. But Skull, this frozen north village where no one's very nice to each other, no one trusts each other. It's very, very good. I was very impressed by it, even though they were really quite hostile. So yeah, great. So yeah, great little game. And the other one, I searched for it. It's Dungeon, is it? Dungeon. What we got? No, I'm not into Darkest Dungeon. I'm into Dungeon 3, is it? Or Dungeons? Dungeons 3 is. Yeah, sure.
Peggy 16.
I did actually play Dungeons and Dragons on the Perfect World thing, and I'm still playing that a little bit, and that's quite. And I might actually do a little demo of that as well at some point, because that's free to play, and that gives you an idea of because some of the dungeon designs in that were pretty good. So that is a first person thing. So this is Dungeons 3. You might be able to get a hold of Dungeons 2 or 1 cheaper. I wouldn't go buy it at full price. I think that's too much. But I bought Dungeons 2. I never really regretted it. I didn't play it a huge amount, but I loved having a little look at the mechanics. So let's have a quick look at the mechanics. So, just to explain what on earth is going on, you basically play the role of the dungeon master, an evil one that has all these minions who have to excavate the dungeon, and then you build up, training things for your orcs and your goblins or whatever or skeletons if you're going to be a necromancer. And you put in little traps, and you put in training centers and gold hoarding places, and every so often some NPC AI dungeoneers come in and try and get through, and you've got to try and fight them.
Peggy 16.
Must go one step further. Dungeons, bigger traps, bigger monsters, bigger battles. Of course, there's also a lot more to do. Across 20 campaign missions and endless randomly generated maps, the ultimate evil can really let off some steam. Sometimes, literally, when you're running from walls of fire and trying to build your lair in a flooded dungeon. Everyone loves an underwater level, don't they? Expansion and if...
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's see if we can see what Dungeons 2 is going for, because I think you get just as much out of going to Dungeons 2. Oh, come on. I'm just in all this other stuff. Right, so can I search for it then? Go back or what?
Peggy 16.
Dungeons 2. Let's see how much that's going for. Oof, stuck there. Gosh. Dungeons 3. I'd just say Dungeons 3 is a bit it's a bit pricey really. The complete edition of Dungeons 2, and they get it on sale when it's a $5 or something. Let's can we bring that in? Oh, I'm not going to need that one. I'm not going to. Oh, yeah. It's a bit
16.
simpler. That's the only thing. Dungeons 2 looks a bit more complicated. I still haven't played Dungeons 2 even though I own it.
But there was a path leading to a different place there, in which the absolute evil lived.
Peggy.
To take it to the next level. Build your dungeon. Raise your army. Stand your ground. And take theirs.
Okay, so yeah, this is great. And Dungeons 2, I think I would recommend. Although it's got mixed reviews at the moment, so maybe this is a ban or something. Edited for Welvers. the likelihood of a you're not going to get many hours out of it, but just an idea of what can be done, and as an inspiration for getting for what, because we're going to look more in terms of tile sets and how to get everything, kind of the design side of it, rather than the fact that the game's a bit dull after a while, because you can't particularly have that experience of your friends being the victims, walking in as the thief, or the the D&D experience. So limited but a bit of fun, and it covers that whole sense of designing a dungeon, which we are going to do with Unity, and we're actually going to properly make it, but it's going to be incredibly complicated and mind melting. But we're going to make cool dungeons that people can explore and go through, and we've got much more flexibility in making it for ourselves rather than just an off-the-shelf game. But I do find off-the-shelf games very inspiring to have a look at. I mean, the other one would be Diablo 2. I wasn't a fan of. I mean, this is real old school. Before Blizzard started going downhill, I don't think you can even get it on Steam. Have a look at Dwellers. I think I found Delvers or something like that. Delver. I think I found this a bit too cartoony. But yeah, I can't get beyond the graphics on that one. So that's pretty much it. Let's get out of that one. I'm just talking about Neverwinters Nights Enhanced Edition. Make sure you get the old school one and not the newer stuff. It's not good. And Dungeons 2 when it's on sale. And those two give a really cool feeling of dungeon creation without having to go into the nuts and bolts, which is what we're going to have to do. And even I've been at Unity again. Okay, well, dungeon test. And even here. Okay, fine. That's great. Even dungeon, the reason why we have to get dungeon is that shields us from all the code that's involved. You don't want to get involved in the code. You just don't. Let him do that. And then we'll just use his we just have to learn how to use his tools to create dungeons. Don't know if we've got a simple 2D one here. Yeah. So like I say, the reason for getting dungeon, and you could use Dungeon Architect, but this course is going to focus on dungeon to start with at least. Is you have we don't want to start coding stuff, and it's going to be hard enough. See, is actually going to play or not? That's very cool, actually. I may have to do, because one of my students is really into 2D stuff, we may have to do more of this stuff. And because although this is only 2D, but although I think you have to go 3D and then just have a top-down camera, because the 3D will give you much more better lighting and all sorts of things. This is just a test of the 2D stuff. Yeah, so we're going to have to delve into Dungeon soon and show you how to actually use it. It's not the easiest thing to use. It's incredibly complicated if you look underneath the hood, which we will try to avoid doing as much as possible. And yeah, that's just a little quick video about the simple nature of looking at games that provide you with map editors that allow you to do an awful lot of stuff. Yeah, the problems I had, Neverwinters Nights Enhanced Edition, although I loved it, my mates were just like, no, it's too complicated and tricky, and we don't like having to click to move and stuff. I just didn't like it. And so that means I couldn't use it for the purpose of creating beautiful adventures for them to go on, because they couldn't get past the clunky interface. And then Dungeons 2, although it's a great deal of fun, it's extremely limited in what you can do, so you can't have your friends try and explore the dungeon on their own. It's more a question of, it's a bit like Warcraft 3, where you just throw loads of AI units at each other, which isn't, well, it's alright, but it's not the experience that I was aiming at trying to get, which is basically designing your own dungeon and having people explore it and have fun. So that's enough of that, and that's the end of that one.